Hello. Hello, hello. This is Hannah from Reality Awareness. There's the camera. If you don't know me, welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my page. If you're new here, let me know where you're from around the world. So I'm a little bit nervous to talk about what I'm going to talk about today, just because, I don't know, it's a big one. It's a big one. I think I'm just nervous maybe because I've gone live for a little while maybe. So, and I'm doing okay. Hello. I'm excited to connect with you guys. My hair looks a little bit ratty, but I'm doing my best with one hand because we all know that a headband kind of sorts hair out, right? We can like chuck it up and it kind of looks all right if we just put on our headband. But all this frizz stuff, I don't know if it's because it's humid or that's just an excuse because I've only got one hand to do my hair. So bear with me. Bear with me with my one-handed hairstyle going on. And I'm just gonna share this, so bear with me and I'll just become present with you in a moment. But yes, while you're waiting, if you're new, as I said before, welcome. Welcome to Reality Awareness, the place where you become aware of your reality. And let me know where you're from around the world. Let me know what brought you here. All right, one more place I'm going to share this. And we will be good to go. All right, sweet. Now I'm going to bring up the comments and I'm going to bring up the post that spurred me onto even talking about this. Because, yeah, it's a big one. All right, just bringing that up. Got it all up. I'm all ready to go. Alberta, Canada. Oh, yes, comments coming up now. Hello. I am live streaming. I am. It's like, anyway, the simplest tasks are really big for me at the moment. So it takes a lot for me to get ready and, yeah, jump on a live stream, for example. So Florida, Christina, been following me for about 2 years now. Awesome. Lacey, brought here by love. I love that. And Leah, brought here by your intuition, of course. I love that too. Denver, Colorado. Awesome. I love that so much. You're out of hiding. That's good to know. And it's good. This is what 2022 is for, right? Come out of hiding. It's time to shine your light. So I'm going to talk about this. I feel really betrayed by the dark. I feel betrayed by the darkness. And I know it's kind of a weird ass sort of title. Some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you won't know what I'm talking about. If you've been following me for a while, you'll probably understand a lot of what I'm about to share. If you're new here, you might be like, what is this chick on about? Like, what is she talking about here? So it's, and the post that I, was referring to with the darkness is the one that I shared yesterday. So for those of you who are new, and I'm just going to give you a little update. So for those of you who don't know, I was attacked by dogs, by 2 dogs at the start of December. So I've been in recovery mode. And for December, I was just out. I was out of work, I was wiped out. I couldn't do anything. My legs were badly damaged, badly attacked. If I didn't have my gumboots on, I probably would have died. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I just want to give the new people here a little bit of backstory. And for those of you who've been wondering how I am, this is just a little intro sharing just how I am currently going. So it's been just over a month now. And yesterday, so my little finger had been shattered, like it grabbed hold of my little finger and just been shattered. So I can't type, I can't write, I can't use my hand. If anyone's had a broken finger or something before, these fingers are all stiffening up and it's It's breaking my heart, actually. So try not to cry. This is all leading somewhere because it is leading into, I feel betrayed about the darkness. I feel betrayed by the darkness because I feel like I stand for the light and the dark. And I stand out, I stand for both because I'm a priestess, and the entire of our 3D reality is made up of the full spectrum of the light and the dark. You know, it's a vibrational scale from light to dark, from high to low, however you want to look at it. And I feel like I've always stood up for the underdog or stood up for the darkness, and I feel betrayed by the darkness. Now, I know there's a lot of people that would be saying, you know, well, what do you expect? It's the darkness. It's deceiving. It's, you know, manipulative. It's tricky. It's the devil. It's blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, of course there's those aspects. But with the, I guess being a priestess, being, you know, a healer, we hold that space for that level of darkness and for the light and the whole spectrum. And so at the end of December, between Christmas and New Year, I, you know, was coming into my moon flow and I was just a mess. And I have a feeling that every moon flow that I have over the next few months is really going to bring up, you know, everything that happened. I just finished my moon flow when I got attacked, so it was very close to that period as well. And, you know, if you guys know me, and I always talk about the 9-month healing cycle, right? And when we have a big trauma or event or some big life change, for the next 9 months, we're really like, you know, especially when we bleed and we're shedding, you know, everything from that period and that cycle. So it's like over that 9 months. So anyway, I'm feeling all right now. But I know I'm like marked out my calendar. I'm like, right, so each, you know, month, this is when I might be like bringing it back up just because this is how we heal, right? So, the thing is that, you know, when I say that I felt betrayed by the darkness, you know, what I sort of meant by that, and like I said, it really spurred on when I shared that blog yesterday. So, at the end of December, I decided, because I broke down and I'm like, wow, another month of this. Like, I haven't been able to drive. I'm only just starting to have a shower, and it's like, yesterday was the first time without a bag on my hand. Like, you know, like it's like, you know, over the weekend I was like experimenting, driving to the driveway, like driving down my long driveway because I live out in the country. And I was like just seeing what my leg is like, and I was just like, ouch. And like my leg has forgotten how to work basically. And it's definitely been an experience, right? So when I broke down, I was like, how am I supposed to share my heart and soul if I can't write for another month? Like, writing is my heart. Like, that is how I share. You don't know. Like, for 5.5 years, I've been writing every single day. I've been blogging every single day, like give or take 1 or 2 days over the past 5.5 years. That's what I do, you know. And I was gearing up to write my books this year, which is still happening. You know what I'll be doing as soon as I can type, right? So, and you know, I know there's people who turn around and say there's the dictations, there's the talk to text stuff. Like, yeah, I have been utilizing that tool for Tuesday Tarot because I have to. But for me to like get in my full writing flow, like I need to put my music in, I just need to get in my zone, and I just type and it just flows. Like doing talk to text when I'm trying to think, like, what's the flow here? Like it's a whole different ball game, right? So yes, I'm utilizing that tool, but for my ultimate flow and who I am, it doesn't really work for me. So just, yeah. So over the month of January, I decided that I'm going to share my best blogs and live streams. Like, this is live right now, of course, but over the month of January, I'll be sharing, you know, I'm not sharing lots of live streams, but, you know, if there's some that call to me, I'll definitely share them over this next month. My best blogs that I've ever written over the past 5.5 years is what I'm sharing every single day over the month of January. So you'll be seeing the best of the best. It's kind of a pretty cool thing anyway. I realized, I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool anyway. So the blog that I found yesterday, hence spurring on this topic. Now, I did title the live stream 2 things, right? I feel betrayed by the dark, but then I also put You know, I feel like the feminine betrayal, the backstabbing, the gossiping, kicked out, abandonment, all that sort of thing, right? And I want to talk about that, and they're very interconnected. I was going to do them in 2 separate live streams because the feminine betrayal, backstabbing, the gossiping, all of that sort of thing was a really big shift that I had between that Christmas, New Year when I broke down and, you know, I was in my moon flow, and it just all came out, and I got really, really triggered. And I had a really big internal, like something cracked and something shifted. And, you know, I know it was spurred on from the attack as well, but it was just so many pieces of it. And so I want to share that as well. But I'm going to start with I feel betrayed by the dark. And like I said, you know, it spurred on from that blog yesterday. And I'm just going to read a little bit about it. And it says, you know, come where deep is normal, come where the penetration is not pointed and judged, thus separated, but is felt in its full spectrum and held deeply, compassionately in all its fullness and glory. So, you know, and it's like where the penetration is not pointed and judged, you know, penetration is a masculine energy. It can be a very harsh energy. I mean, like feminine and masculine can be harsh energy, right? But it's like, you know, when we point something, when we judge something, it creates a separation in the psyche, in the energy, in all of that, right? When we have a judgment, it instantly creates separation, right? So, you know, and I've said here in softness and kindness for all aspects of being, even the angry ones, even the deepest, upset, sad ones. Like, if you guys know me, like when somebody calls somebody a victim, I'm just like, are you fucking for real? Like, no wonder the world is like a mess like it is. Like, they are full of feelings and they need somebody to listen to them. Plain and simple. Like, the reality is that that person hasn't found the correct person to be able to listen instead of giving advice, instead of right? Listening is so powerful. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, as they say. Like, listen, shut up and listen, right? Like, to anyone or anything. And the biggest thing about it, like, and this was such an experience in hospital, it's like, you know, like when the cannula, I think I got that right, and I was always calling it like the calendula. Like, I couldn't pronounce the name. I was like the calendula, whatever it is. Like, I couldn't, when it was in my freaking hand, it was like the most painful thing ever. And it was like hurting, right? And there was an instance where, like, you know, it was like the 3rd go into my hand, and the nurse came and did the antibiotics or whatever she did. And it was like, it just started hurting. Like, it was painful. And I was just like, it's hurting. It's hurting. And she's like, oh, it's fine, you know? And I was just like, it's hurting. And she's like, you know, and I said it wasn't hurting like this yesterday. And she's like, it's fine. Oh, how about I put the TV on? Or what about your music? Do you like listening to your music? And I was like, I see, you're trying to distract me. I'm like, it's fucking hurting. Like, it's painful. And then she was like, oh, like the distraction to feelings. Like, number 1, I was like, I knew it wasn't supposed to feel that painful. Number 2, it was like, wow, how many people would voice what's going on for them and they just get shut down. Now, I'm not saying that nurse was a bad nurse. Like, she was amazing. She went and got somebody else. She did her job. Like, you know, it wasn't on her. I was just like, the whole experience of, you know, like seeing the big picture around how much society is suppressed in our heart, in our feelings, in voicing, right? And how much can be healed by listening to a person. Like, it's like the number 1 healer. And Trust Intuition, to become a certified intuitive healer, my course is open. We start on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, so next month. Link is in the title of my live stream, and I'll pop the link in the comments as well. So in Trust Intuition, like, I'm so passionate about training healers in the correct way, right? So Louise says, don't trust hospitals or doctors now. I'm like, I just want to point out my experience in hospital through the pandemic, right? I didn't even hear about it. There wasn't even an inch about it. Like, sure, there's the general screening questions when you get in the door, and then that's it. Like, you know, like, and it was such an eye-opener for me of how much media is creating it. Always remember this, guys. In there, it was just like functioning like normal. Like, you know, I'm sure if I was in the other ward, like, sure, but I didn't hear any of it. It was just, I was very, very grateful for that. I just wanted to point that out. So just popping Trust Intuition in the link in the comments, and I'll pin that to the top now. And this is why, you know, like, I'm so passionate about teaching people, you know, there's so many times that people come to me and they're left stuck in the trauma, or they'll do a past life or they'll personal cut cords and the friggin' person's ended up in hospital. I'm like, you don't do it like that. Like, we're dealing with, you know, people's psyches here. You can send people into psychosis if you do not understand what you're doing correctly. Now, I've been doing this since 2005. That's a long time. Had a lot of experience in this topic, and I've been working in it ever since. So when we work, you know, like in the trust intuition, it's like really understanding there's a time and a place for cutting cords, past life healing, clearing trauma out, and then there's a time for listening, right? And then it's understanding your intuition to be able to even decipher that with the person. Now, some people have been asking me about, you know, like, oh, well, I don't really want to do it as a, you know, career. I just want to increase my intuition. Well, the first 12 modules are just us going through it and you increasing your intuition, understanding all of those pieces. The last 3 modules is where we dive into the clients. Of course, I'm talking about it the whole way through because, as I said to someone yesterday, it's, you know, whether you're sitting there having a business and getting paid for what you do, or whether you're just talking to a friend, or some random person just tells you their life story and they turn around and they say, I've never told a soul this ever before, and I just told you everything. Like, how many of you have ever had that before, right? It's like, because you're a freaking healer, right? And this is where it's understanding that you're doing it anyway. You are a healer. You hold this certain frequency, and people, it's an unspoken thing, right? You're usually the best at what you do in anything you put your mind to. Like, it's just who you are, right? So anyway, going back to the darkness. Now, this is like the most critical point of understanding your intuition. And this has been the biggest eye-opener for me. And if there was a reason why the dog attack happened, I'm about to give it to you. So there's lots of different reasons why it happened, okay? But I've had a good amount of thinking time, not being able to do anything. And like, there's lots of layers. I shared the core, you know, 3 to 5 year old self-core childhood trauma that caused it, if you may. You know, if we're creating our reality, here's where we take utter responsibility, right? Like, what was my part in that? So you know, and I'm very clear on what that 3 to 5 year old childhood trauma wound was. I shared that in Trust Intuition. In Trust Intuition, you get all the details of my life. On public, you only get like snippets, even though you probably hear a lot about my life on live stream. So Trust Intuition has the full story. So if you want to understand your intuition to the depth that I teach, that's where I share the ins and outs of it. So link is in the comments there. We start on the 22nd of February this year. 22022022. Magical day. So this is the reason why I think it happened. Now this is, like I said, that blog that I wrote, that I shared yesterday. So what did I say? There was a piece I didn't read you. I'm not going to read the whole lot out. Because I said there, you know, like, I am both of it. Like, I hold a fuckload of space for people because I am the space, right? This is the priestess. This is where we're, you know, like, where we're understanding the full spectrum, or wizard, or healer, or whatever you want to call yourself, right? It's just a label, right? You understand it's an energy that we hold, right? And if you're the best of the best, and you always get people who tell you, you know, their life story, and it's the first time they've ever spoken to you, and they're like, what's going on? And you might feel a bit drained afterwards, and you're just like, oh, what's going on here? Especially when it keeps happening, right? We hold this certain frequency. We're a certain, I call us a certain species, right? Ancient blooded healer, whatever label you want to put on it, light worker, whatever. I hold a fuckload of space for people because I am the space. I am both in it, both of it, the darkness and the light. We've all got a shadow, and it's connected to you even when the sun ain't shining, right? I can hold space for people who can't even see their own darkness because I am the darkness, because I am both. I am not one or the other. I am not light. I am not darkness. I am the entirety of all of it. If you are anything but that, you are separate, and you're in judgment of either the darkness or the light. Now, in Transcendence Reality Society, we're about to start throat chakra consciousness. This is the depth of throat chakra consciousness, right? It goes so deep. This is the surface stuff. People who haven't done the depth of darkness integration shy away from the dark, right? And this is where the judgment, separation, this is the whole society, right? When I posted that yesterday and I realized this stuff, something dropped back into my awareness that I forgot about, that I said no to. People in my tribe in Transcendence Reality Society, I might have shared it in Trust Intuition, but I think it was in Transcendence Reality Society, because it was when we're in ear chakra consciousness and I was filming ear chakra consciousness and we're going through ear chakra consciousness. We go through each chakra, right? It's like a series of trainings, go deep in, like it's a big course on each one of them. It was in ear chakra consciousness that I was getting a lot of information. In my meditations, when I was meditating, I was getting guidance to do something, to create, to put out in the world. And I sat with it. And I even remember saying in Transcendence Reality Society, I was like, this would make so much sense. This would explain everything to everybody. This would, give everybody the insight and help wake them up. Like it would. It really would. But something was slightly off about it. And this makes me cry, because like this is like the key between, I want to say, being on the spectrum in a way, like being in the spectrum of like heading down the spectrum into the dark or into the light. Now, it's not that we're sort of like, we're either here or here. We kind of are, right? Depending on where your vibration is, depending on where your feelings are, depending on where your mindset is. And that's not like, oh, I'm always happy and I've got the highest vibration. Like it changes. Do you know why? Because nothing is stable. Nothing is stable. The only change is constant, right? The only constant is change. Yeah? That's the only thing. Our feelings change day to day. Our mindset changes. Sure, we can train ourselves, etc., and we must do that. But nothing stays the same. Sure, we can hold a certain vibration for sure. But is that 100% stable, like all the time? You're like, I'm here all the time. Like, no, right? The thing that I was receiving in meditation to create, to put out in the world, that would wake a lot of people up, was that September, October, I was on a lot of Netflix binges. Now, I allow myself Netflix binges, but whenever I'm called, or movies or whatever, because my intuition shows me certain things and I learn a lot from certain things. However, I'm also conscious of what movies, Netflix, and that whole entire realm or scene, shall we say, is doing to humanity. Okay? The backstory behind it all. Not going to mention it. You guys know about it if you know what I'm talking about. The bad stuff that goes on in those scenes. Industry, that's the one. Now, I watched several things that put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together for me. The thing in meditation, and it kept coming. Like, it was a good few weeks. It was like, do this thing. Now, I was like, am I ignoring my intuition here? Like, you would think in meditation, you're ignoring your intuition when you're not following your intuition about this thing, right? Pretty much. Isn't that why we meditate? To like get intuition, like to receive the next step. This is where understanding your intuition and what's not, and who's speaking to you in the spirit world or your intuition comes into play. This is what we do in Trust Intuition, because it's very intricate. It's very, very intricate, and it's always changing. Okay. In meditation, I was getting the message to record the little pieces. I was talking about it in Transcendence Reality Society. There was pieces in ear chakra consciousness that called for explaining these pieces in the movies, right? That I was watching, or shows or whatever. Because it understood humanity, understood a lot of the stuff that's going on and the fall into darkness and all the unconsciousness and blah, 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 blah. And they show it to you in those shows in plain sight. Everybody knows this. They show you in plain sight. Like, look what's happening in the world right now. They're literally like, freaking presidents and stuff are talking about the detrimental effects of it. For goodness sake, it's called programming. They're like, oh, that's just what happens. Like, hello, like it's that drip feed. It's the drip feed, right? As we torture the drip feed stuff, right? Go fucking insane, pretty much. I got the message to put all these pieces of the puzzle together into a video, right? And I was like, can I even film that Netflix? Like, isn't that like protected or copyrighted or something? And I pulled up my, my filming software that I use to create all my videos. And I like played Netflix on my computer, and then I was like filming. I was like, oh, it does work. I'm like, okay, cool. And it was like, you know, weeks of these steps where I was like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to do this. The intuition is still there, blah, 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 blah. But something felt off about it. And lo and behold, as we moved through ear chakra consciousness, I was like, yeah, this is actually not intuition. Hence why we go deep into each chakra, because each chakra has its own consciousness and they're very different. And when we understand the depth of each chakra, it brings a whole nother level to intuition, right? So the Transcendence Reality Society and the chakra journey that we do in there, that's all the advanced trainings. I do all the advanced trainings in there. Trust intuition, step 1, yeah? Oh, tomorrow's just popped in. There's the link for Transcendence Reality Society. You can actually join Trust Intuition through Transcendence Reality Society. You can become a Selenite member, and which gives you Trust Intuition as well. Or you can just join monthly with us. We'll be starting the throat chakra consciousness at the end of January. So thanks for that tomorrow. So I got the guidance to like put it all together. Now with what I've seen in the world, and I've been thinking about it, and I especially thought about it yesterday when this really dropped in and dawned on me. I was like, wow, that was what the attack was about. Because I couldn't quite figure out why the darkness attacked me, right? I was like, okay, I did that Travis Scott live stream. It went slightly viral, like had nearly like 300k views or something. Like that's reasonably big for me at that time, especially as well. And I'm conscious like viral is like a few million views. Like let's be real here, right? So 300,000 is still a lot of people. I love you guys for being here. A lot of it resonated with a lot of people, and I was just doing my thing and putting all the bits of the intuition together, just like you saw on that live stream, right? That's what I do. I get shown all these things. And so I could have put that video together of all the different shows, and there were so many. It would show about how Facebook works behind the scenes and, you know, all the pandemic stuff. It would just show it all, right? Like, you know, it would be so easy to understand. Would people believe it? Because, you know, it's like, oh, it's a show, programming, you know, so there's definitely that. But then the other part of it, for me, it was like, as I just kept sitting with it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I'm feeding that beast. Imagine if I did that and it went out there. Doesn't matter how many views that had. I'm feeding that energy. I'm imprinting all those people with that awareness. Now, some people are out there doing that. They're putting all the pieces to puzzle together. They're doing all that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm personally not being called to do that. I said, no, I'm not choosing to do that. I'm going to focus on what I do in Reality Awareness, Awaken the Consciousness for Humanity, this way. That guidance that I got, like I said, I could have done it. I even figured out the tech of how to do it. Easily. Could have done it. I said no. Because I knew it was heading that way. It was feeding that realm. It's feeding that reality, actually. Because everything is a reality. And what we all know this. Whatever we focus on, we bring more into it. If we're in a negative spiral, we're going to be in this. If we're constantly talking about the world pandemic stuff, right? So I don't talk about it that often. Like some people, you know my views on it, but I don't talk about it that often. Why? I've got fucking shit to do, right? I don't want to fill my time. And, that is a distraction to your purpose. Actually, me doing that video would have been a distraction to my purpose. Me saying no to that was probably about another 3 weeks, and then the attack happened. And it was only yesterday that really dropped in. I knew it was an attack on my light. A lot of people had that same feeling, but none could really place it, and I knew it was only for me to understand ultimately. And I was just like, wow. 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 And the other part about it is that, like I said, we came out of ear chakra consciousness heading into throat. Whenever we're in a chakra and then we start moving into another chakra, we, like if we're in the ear chakras, the throat chakra already starts to get activated. If we're in the throat chakra, the heart chakra starts to get activated, right? When we finish a chakra, we're definitely already stepped into it, even though we haven't started it. Everything that I'm talking about, distractions, darkness, entities, demons, devils, like all of that, it's all the darkness, right? That's shadow work. Understanding the darkness, throat chakra consciousness, yeah? Projection, living your truth or swallowing somebody else's truth. So you don't know if it's your truth or not. You don't know if you're trusting your intuition or not. Yeah? What are we being fed? We're being fed and we're swallowing what truth? No wonder we get sick. Right? It was almost like I was, you know, like even though the attack happened like that, of course there's lots of gifts in it. Day 3, when I was laying in hospital, and of course I'm like still processing. As soon as the pain kicked in, it was just flashbacks. I was like, I was just like a mess. Like they'd come running in because I was crying. We all know crying's healing, but you know what I mean, right? And they go, stop the pain, stop the crying, stop the emotion. Like it was a big eye opener. It's a big eye opener. I know they're only doing their job. I have many nurses in my clients, in my trust intuition. Like please know this is not against nurses. It's the system and society and the way we're trained. Sure, we've got a big job ahead of us. But the more of us that can understand and sit there and listen and be there and just listen, it heals so much. It heals so much. I've always been a strong believer. As soon as I came across aware parenting, I'm like, this is what's going to change the world. This is what will change the world. And I still believe that to this day. So many people come to me and they're like, you know, you've shifted stuff in 10 minutes that I haven't shifted in a lifetime of working with a psychologist. And there's nothing against psychologists. Again, it's the system and the way they're trained, right? And this is why I'm passionate about training healers to learn and understand these techniques, because this is what will change the world, and aware parenting, right? It's the listening aspect of it. Okay, so what did I want to talk about there? So because I said no, right, to putting that video together, I know, I only understood now yesterday when I posted that, and I was just like, wow, I feel so betrayed by you, darkness. All this time, I have stood up for you. All this time, I have had your back and can see the depth of what you do, because you're turning people into the darkness and waking them up at some point. Rock bottoms, they're dark. What do? We freaking wake up and we skyrocket up. There's only one way up, right? Lucifer was like cloaked in darkness, so he didn't blind people with his light. Like, you know, I have a very different view about the darkness. Now, when I say I feel betrayed by the darkness, it's not like, you know, it's not the simple meaning of it, if you may. Do you know what I mean? It's very much like, wow, like you attacked me because I said no to creating a video that would put out there. And this is what just make sure I'm covering what I want to talk about in this live stream. I am actually going to talk about the feminine betrayal, the backstabbing, the gossiping, kicked out of groups, the abandonment in a different live stream. I am, because this has been enough in itself. I had a feeling, well, I was like, oh, I can do them together. No, they're very different topics, but similar. So I'll aim to do that tomorrow or in the next couple of days. So the last thing I want to share about that, like I said no to feeding that beast. Okay. And I feel betrayed by the darkness because I've always been you know, I don't know what the word is for them, but stood up for them, whatever the point is. And it's put in a lot of pieces of the puzzle. Now, a lot of people have sent me over this world pandemic stuff, you know, like videos to watch and doctors. Everyone knows what that realm is like when we go into the rabbit hole. There's so many videos to watch and pieces of puzzle to put together, etc., right? And you know, there's some recent ones like what is it, Joe Rogan and even like Candace Owens and stuff, and there's other big names. And do you know what, like when people send me that stuff, and some of it I really agree with, some bits I do watch and then I pull myself out of it again because I'm like, ugh, it's just all the same shit. And you know, like those big names, I'm like, how have they still got their accounts open? How are they still on social media? How does, hang on a sec. They're like the anti people, but they're still on social media, but they're shutting a lot of accounts down because of that. But these people that are like on TV and stuff, and like, they got their accounts open still. You have to ask why. Why? Because they're feeding the beast. They are creating the separate and divide. Sure, There is an aspect to waking people up to the truth. But you have to remember that a person will not wake up on their spiritual journey until it is divinely guided in their life purpose chart, in their birth chart. Sometimes people won't wake up through the whole of their lifetime because they're just not destined to in this lifetime. Yeah, Russell Brand, exactly. You have to ask why they are allowing that in. Why is that still there? Why? Because it's creating this amazing media for or against. What is war? For or against? What is the vibration of that? I think it's pretty heavy. I think it's pretty dark. It's creating, separate, and divide. That is their goal. They don't have any blood on their hands when civil war breaks out and we're killing each other for them. That is why I said no to creating that video. That is why I got attacked. But God saved me. Why? Because there's a higher purpose. There is more to focusing on the stuff that's going on because it's going to go on. And the people who are not going to wake up, they're not going to wake up until they stop watching mainstream, and we know that they have to hit rock bottom for that to happen. And maybe, just maybe, soon, in like 2024, I saw it as a black line. I have no idea what that means. Maybe that's when there's a mass people die from sickness. Maybe that's when something else gets wiped out. Maybe it's when something else happens. I don't know. Maybe when, I don't know. Don't know what that is. But I also got the message in 2020 that people are not ready for this level of consciousness until 2027. 7. That's still another what? How many years away? People not ready for this level of consciousness until 2027. You might be like, oh my God, Hannah, how are we gonna survive this? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, how are we gonna survive this? Is by unplugging from that realm and focusing on your purpose. It's very easy to get sucked in. I was getting the message in meditation to create the Netflix shows into a video to put out to the world and start doing that. That is a big distraction from throat chakra consciousness, from heart chakra consciousness, from solar plexus chakra consciousness, from sacral, from base, from integration that I've still got to go. These are big courses. This is another 12 to 18 months worth of filming ahead of me. That would have been a big distraction to my purpose. Instead, they did this, and that's fine because it's made me realize all this. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not playing your game. I said no. I said no. I've supported you, and I've still said no, and I still support you because I see you for who you really are. And I'm still going to do what I'm doing because God's got my back. The light has my back. Consciousness has my back. I will not feed the beast. I will not go into the cycles of that to wake people up. People will come to reality awareness when they are ready to become aware of their reality. That is the reality. People will not wake up until they are ready. The way people wake up is by us holding the vibration of the full spectrum and doing what we're doing because we're focusing all our energy on the new world that we're actually all wanting. And we're still focusing over here going, but what do we do? Yeah, I'm so freaking passionate about this. It's so strong, and I understand why my attack happened. That's why I said no. In meditation, this is the thing I'm like, can you see how understanding the intricacies of trusting your intuition is so freaking important? I could have run with that, but I was so conscious. We're in ear chakra consciousness, knowing all the depths of what we're talking about in ear chakra consciousness, which wasn't just about Netflix shows, by the way, right? There's a whole human history and way beyond. And stepping into throat chakra consciousness, right? I was very conscious that we're dealing with demons. And like I live what I teach, right? I said, no, I will not play your game. I've got work to do. Yeah? All right. So that's the bulk of what I wanted to share. If you need to go, jump off, go for it. I'm going to speak to your comments here. I will do a live stream about the feminine betrayal, backstabbing, gossiping, being kicked out, because it is tied in, but they were two separate pieces. But now I understand that from yesterday that I'm sharing now. I can see how it's tied in, which is really big. It's like masculine and feminine in self of reflection in the world and everything that shifts in that. It was really big for me. I've been triggered so much, and it shifted that day. So I'm going to share that maybe tomorrow or the coming days. So keep an eye out for that, but I will do them in 2 separate live streams. So if you need to go, you guys can go. Let me just have a look. Yeah, dreams. Yeah, so I'm going to go through your comments, guys. So thanks for being here. Yeah, your dreams, right? Your pretty intense downloads. So a lot of people have been having a lot of deep dreams, a lot of dreams, a lot of, you know, like they're like movies and you come out of dreams and actually it's not a dream. It's actually Inception. Have you guys seen that movie, Inception? I used to be obsessed with it before I even understood it. And then I've learned all this AI stuff and I'm just like, oh, Inception, baby. Like that's why this is so not just addictive, that's why it works for them. That's why it's their greatest weapon, right? And people are like, we're going to have a media blackout. Make sure you got solar panels and stuff. Who's the people screaming that stuff, by the way? The people who are opposing the other people, like it's doing that. Like, hello. Like in the 100, they're like telling, like the, you know, the AI is telling these people to fight, like, right? This works because of Inception. That's the only reason why. That's why you must train your brain and hone your energy and protect your energy in so many ways, right? So yeah, and the spiritual battle happening between the light and the dark. There is a lot of people that have been messaging me saying that I'm in their dreams and there's been this battle of light and dark in the dreams. Like, and even, you know, when the dog attack happened, it was bigger than me. Like, I was so conscious, like I said, of my childhood wounds and the reason of it. But then this layer on top, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. But also, it was like out of my hands. It was a battle between the light and the dark, like right there. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't about me in those moments too. You know what I mean? It was so, I could feel it, you know, it's very, very much that. Yeah, choose a side and cling to the light and you feel a lot more protected. And this is what it's doing. And this is why, like, when we understand the level of darkness, it wakes people up. Controlled opposition, paid controlled opposition. Thank you for those words. Like, I forget that that's what it is. Yes, thank you. But someone always reminds me of that. I don't always forget it. So it's exactly what that is. Thank you for that. So yeah, the light and the dark. And so when we're getting attacked or we're having these dark experiences, like, it's definitely pulled me back to the light for sure, more as well, even. Like, you know, you'd think that I'm in it. But it's like, you know, it's like, no, I do get pulled in, like the shows and like seeing how much it imprinted me or feeling the effects of it. And after the Travis Scott thing, I was just like, dude, like, get back to the light, you know, sort of thing. And I was already doing all the changes and then bam. So anyway, because I'd made the decision, I was like, no, I'm not doing that, gonna do all this stuff. That's what I kept saying, you know, in the previous live streams about it all. I was just like, I was taking 3 weeks off. This isn't about me stopping. Like, I was taking 3 weeks off for the first time over Christmas in 5.5 years. Like, last year I took 2 weeks, this year I was taking 3 weeks. Like, it wasn't about that, do you know what I mean? It was just like, because I was stepping back into the light, taking better care of myself and doing all these things, it was just like, well, fine. You know, it's like, that's the backstabbing narcissistic energy, isn't it? Like, get you then, like, you bitch, you know, so I'm going to talk about this feminine betrayal. Interesting, the feminine is actually the darkness. Part 2 live stream coming up. Coming up. Yes, trust your intuition is, doors are open. So the link is in the title of this live stream. You can also find it on my website and rarelyawareness.com. You can find it on my Facebook page. Like, send me a message if you can't find it. We start on the 22nd of February 2022. It's a magical day. It's a 6 months training. You don't have to become a certified healer. However, you can, you know, you can still just use it for the psychic development. Sorry, I'm getting called to focus on the comments. Okay. So Tracy says, I was being trained correctly. However, they were not taking my money and not training me at all correctly. I just want to learn correctly. Yeah. There's a certain thing about that, you know, it's like, yeah. So you just got to trust your intuition, with which mentor to teach you with at the end of the day, yeah? And sometimes we have to have bad experiences to realize who the good ones are, yeah? So Marsha says, you look and sound great. I am in this moment. I will probably go and like take a mini nap after this because just the little things take a lot of energy for me, and this live stream is like taking a lot, but I'm also working really consciously with my moon cycles this year as well. Like, you know, because these live streams, I've got them written in my book here, right? There's 4 of them. There was 3 that was just like poo, 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 and they dropped in when I was like bleeding. And I just had like the worst week between Christmas and New Year. just all the stuff coming up. I was bleeding, but it helped to clear it all out and whatever. I was just in it again, and I was just like, I was gonna do these live streams and I can't do it like this. So I just wrote them down. So now I'm like in my good cycle and I'm just doing the live streams now. It's a powerful thing to work with your cycles, right? And the cycles of life, it's all your chakra consciousness. Okay, so Janelle says, is it still separation of you acknowledging the dark and turning into the light? Yes. To an extent, 100%. And this is why the integration of both the light and dark. A lot of people think that shadow work is just the darkness, and it's just shadow, you think dark instantly, right? But it's actually the full spectrum integration of the entire spectrum, because you can be in the dark and judging the light, or you can be in the light and judging the dark. Yeah? Yes, Nanette says, love that. Sick and tired of those that tell you to be positive, don't be negative. Toxic positivity makes me sick. Yep, that's exactly how I feel about it. Yes. Feeding the new, creating the new. Yes, Jolene, exactly, right? This is the purpose of your purpose, right? If you know, like, it's all well and good to go down the rabbit holes when we need to, because I believe at certain times in our journey we need to, but it's understanding when you've flicked over into the addictive, like, need that drama, need that feed, and feeling that sense of it, to actually just creating what you're here to create and knowing what's going on. Like, I do believe there's a bit of a journey. It's do you know what it is? It's leaving the narcissistic relationship. That's exactly what it is. And that takes time. And that is why it's going to take until 2027 before people are ready to wake up for this level of consciousness, simply because society is in a relationship with a narcissistic parent, if you may, the government, whatever you want to call it, the leaders, whatever. It's in a narcissistic relationship. For people to wake up out of an abusive relationship, I've been in them myself. I've counseled many, many clients over the years of relieving domestic violence relationships. I know this cycle inside out. It's like, you know, there's a process to waking up and realizing it, to going back unconscious, to coming out, to going back unconscious. And then it's like, then we stay here and we're just like, wow, well, what do I do now? And there's a period of time where we're just like, I don't know what to do. And then we start to step out, and then we go back because, like, oh, it's like different. And then we start to come out, and then we're like, oh, we go back. And then we come up and we're just like, no, I'm not fucking doing that anymore. Right? That's what society has to go through. And that's why it's going to take that long, you know? So when we also know that, we can get on with our purpose. And for me, I'm wasting time if I'm over here, because this needs to be ready by the time people wake up. You know what I mean? Your purpose will be similar. Yeah? Okay. So Janelle says, I work with the dark and acknowledge it, but I don't serve it. I've chosen to transform dark to light. Yes, that one. That one. Okay, is that an L tattooed on my head? It could be like light, is it? It's a moon. It's a crescent moon. Tamara says, and yes, it did stop you for a little while, but essentially all it has done is brought you back into more purpose. Yep. Exactly right. Exactly. Terry, yes, hi. Oh, I tuned in randomly today and just cleared something massive. Yes, this is the power of, if you ever see my live streams and they're not live, you can either listen to the whole thing, multitasking, doing the dishes, driving, etc. You don't have to sit here watching me watch, like, I'm just sitting here, I'm not showing you anything, right? So you can easily multicast doing so many things, multitask. Or you can just simply like flick the little thingy, like, what do I need to know specifically, and just flick it, little toggle, and just press play and listen for a bit. You might need to flick it for again, or just keep listening from that point. It's always a good tip to know, because a lot of my live streams are long. I just got a lot to say and it's important, so you get used to it. So Purnima Amarita, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I don't think I did, so excuse my pronunciation of that, whatever that's called. She says, made sense. I tried to read your lips since I am deaf, but all we do is shield our energy and spread positive. Yes. Oh, I hope I'm talking properly. I'm a little bit of a slang person sometimes, so sorry about that. Joanne says, oh, Dwayne, I think. Joanne, goodness. Mass hypnosis is evident. Yes, exactly. 5 years, thank you. My maths is not good. My English is good. Maybe not in my speaking, but my grammar is good usually when I'm typing. You wouldn't know that I got ducks of my school, like non-TE ducks of my school when I finished year 12, right? That's because of all my English grades and stuff. Maths and science, English, go for it. Writing it is. That's writing. That's what I mean. It's like, oh my God. And even when this happened, like, it's so bad. But thank fuck it wasn't my whole hand, because that would have been like, I don't know that I'd be able to write again, to be honest, because my little finger, I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk about it right now. Okay. So Lee says, oh my God, I seen this when I was 14, told my parents, and they said I was crazy, 2020 to 2028. Yeah, exactly. Exactly the time frame. That's right. So Dwayne says, just you becoming your best, you subconsciously wake up others, especially if you never bend. Exactly. That's why I said, nope, I'm not going down in cyclic flow. I'm stepping into the light and shifting frequency and vibration. And my life is like exponentially growing since that little dive into the shifting in between Christmas and New Year. It's massive. So Floyd says, using a light, we can see in the darkness. However, if we walk into the light, we cannot see anything. Yes. So yes, pull out the plug. Exactly, right? I love that so much. Like, yeah, I love that. It's so awesome. And that's why, you know, it's like, are you in the dark or the light? And I'm like, I'm out here and I'm watching the whole thing play out. There's like, you know, because if we look at duality, reality, and we look at the hermetics of the way the universe is made up, you know, it's like, there's literally that sort of system that we, you know, we can either be in or we can be out, and sometimes we do need to go in at times, and we do. That's the journey, right? But then when we can unplug, we can be, you know, that peace and that balance and hold space for it all. Like, that's, for me personally, I believe that's the ultimate goal. Like, isn't that what they say about mastery, or the wisdom teachers, etc., right? The wise ones that listen to both sides of the balance and only speak where necessary. Is this way our face is designed for that or something? I don't know. Leah says, disconnecting from that realm, focusing on our purpose is where it's at. Haven't watched the news for 3 years. Yes. In 2006, so I wasn't really a news watcher anyway, but it was like 2006. I'm like, I'm not watching this anymore. Yep. I just want to farm, crochet, and play with my daughter. Freedom, equality, love, eternal. Exactly. Go do that. Because there's the vibration when we're feeding what we want. We all know how this stuff works, right? So Russell says, good message. You're speaking it well. Thank you so much. Sarah says, different consciousness levels. Yes, exactly. Dwayne says, what the dark is creating, these people who are following the fear path will pray for death and it won't come. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It makes me sick thinking about it, because we know we can feel it. It's that feeling, yeah? Very dark feeling. Vanessa says, 100% don't waste the energy on shaking them awake. Got to hold the light. Exactly. Yes. You guys get it. I love it. Nanette says, my ears have been giving me grief. This is the awakening, right? Step into reality awareness. This is usually what happens, right? Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. I'm back and I'm not back. I do have up and down days, but, you know, and Sharon says, I'm blown away, you're on fire. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been resting lots, I guess, and really working with my cycles. And then, yeah, and even just, yeah, this builds up, and then I get it, and I have these blah, blah, blah things, right? So, yeah. Ozzy, I think I'm pronouncing your name. For the past 6 years, I've heard it will continue until 2028. Yes, 2027 tipping point, and then it'll be like woof, whole new energy. Yeah. I'm still not understanding how you support the darkness. I support the darkness by not judging it. Yeah, I see it for what it is. I don't play in it. I don't hang out with it and have cups of tea with it. But I also don't judge it and, fuck, you get away from me, you're so bad. Don't do that. Just let me roll my chair back in with one hand. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I support it by not judging it. That's what I mean when I say that, if that makes sense. I don't like, you're bad and you're the devil and you gotta go to hell and stay away from that. Stay away! Because what are we doing? We're feeding it! Giving it all the energy that it wants. That's what it wants to do. It wants to suck you in and distract you. That's its fucking purpose. It's its purpose to suck you in. Because that's why it's called rabbit hole. Isn't that the Alice in Wonderland thing? You fucking go down the hole and you get fucking taken by all this shit. I don't know. I have to rewatch Alice in Wonderland, but you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah? That's how I support the darkness. But I'm like, I see you. I also see you. I see how you're playing out this ping pong here. Ping pong. Back and forth. Jeez. Ugh, it's exhausting. I've got shit to do. Yeah? Yeah? Nadia says, the dark line you saw is like a flat line. It's just blanked out. You know, if we see the years, I don't know, it's a weird sort of visual. I get weird visuals that I've understood in my intuition over the years. That one I'm still not clear about, you know. It's just like if it's all written on paper, you know, it's just blacked out. You know, if we've got a thick black texture and it's just blacked out. Someone did say there's like a separation, and that will be the year energetically, cosmically, etc., when people turn into minions or people wake up or something. I don't know. I was like, kind of makes sense. Heard something else. Someone said, well, the person who created the main thingo said, you know, like in 3 to 4 years you won't be alive. And I'm just like, wow, that's like the 2024, you know, like there's all these things, you know. And I personally believe, you know, for those of you who've had to get it, you know, your mind and your body can heal anything. When the doctor tells you you can't do something, what do? We know. Yeah? You've got to be strong in yourself to do that and surround yourself around people who know how to do that. It's called Trust Intuition Tribe. You know, people like us, right? You'll only be called to trust intuition if you're in, you know, being called to that. Jesso says the non-humans look like people. I know, right? It's a little bit scary. And this is again trusting intuition about who you're talking to. It's exactly what I was saying, that in meditation I got that message. I got the in meditation you would think that you're supposed to just be open and listen to all the guys and all the messages because it's so amazing, and you've got to learn discernment and who are you actually talking to. There's so many imposters in the spirit realm as well. And you've got it, they're sneaky. The devil's a sneaky. Devil plays tricks. You guys know, you've heard that over and over again. They're sneaky. You got to understand your intuition. You got to know how to work that, baby. You do. Barb says, I love that recovery seems to be coming along. It's been up and down, but yes, I'm getting better. I think it's like, I didn't realize after a couple of hospital visits, I've had to go back every week for bandages and whatever, x-rays and stuff. And, after a while, I realized I'm like waiting for the next hospital visit because it feels like another step forward in healing, even though I break down and it brings it all back. It's just like, okay, I'm coming forward. I can do this. And then sometimes I can't do this. Oh dear. Yeah. Dwayne says best way to see a narcissist is as a wounded child who never healed. Then it's easier to deal with or avoid. Exactly. So when we see it for what it is, all the hurt, all the pain, all the layers of scar tissue that's built up to this hard narcissistic wall. This is what I mean about holding space for the darkness, because we see that person was not born into this world like that. When we understand that and we have the tools, the skills and the abilities to hold space for it, and I'm not saying you have to hold space for everybody, this is what we do in Trust Intuition, because like I said, if you're getting paid and you step into this as a career or not, you're going to you know, you're going to be doing this all the time. You need to learn these, not just boundaries, but understand who are the people you are meant to help, even if you're not doing it with work. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different intricate pieces to that, right? Oh, Sharon, that's huge. I was with a narcissist for 35 years. That's big. It's really, really big. Excuse me. Worst week between Christmas and New Year. I know, right? Like it was some pretty fucked up energies if you ask me. Yep. Yeah, wow, that's really huge, Andrew. That's massive, super massive for you. It was really heavy for me. I was bleeding as well. I was very, very conscious of that, and I allow myself to drop into those feelings. Like it's, you know, it's really important. Yeah. Okay, you guys get it. Love makes sense. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like seeing it for what it is, basically. So yeah. So Lisa says, I had a very strange dream about helping man find his light self and his dark self. They were both lost and searching for the original vessel. Interesting, isn't it? His physical body. Yep, somehow I helped guide the light side and the dark side both became back to him. It's just, yeah, it's just a dream. It's very vivid. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, even watching Inception a zillion times before I even sort of understood, like, you know, this stuff and everything. Well, not even this stuff, like just AI. I learned a lot about AI in February last year, and yeah, it just put so many pieces of the puzzle together and understood more depth of the world stuff that's going on and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, like when we have these vivid dreams, like if we really think about it and we understand that the world deception and everything that's happening, it's all fake. Our history's fake. It's like, it is, you know, it all is. And when we understand those depths, right, and we do, there's a lot of that in ear chakra consciousness. When we understand that and we understand like, well, what are we even? How did we get here? You know, like, have you traced your family tree origin back? How many, is it only go 4 or 5 generations back? Well, what about all those other centuries that were apparently alive? Like, what? You know, like just things like that, right? But when we really understand that we're like, you know, if you sit in meditation, you're like, oh, I'm talking to the angels or I'm talking to who or whatever it is, right? Or we go out in the world and we're like, wow, that person's living that reality and that person's living that reality. Like it's like 2 different realities and people are just living in all these different realities. When we really understand that concept, we understand that we're all just in different realms and we can create whichever realm we choose to focus on and put energy into and create in our life, right? Now, when you're talking about with your dream like that, like it's very vivid. Like when we go to sleep, our soul does not sleep. You guys know this, yeah? Our soul does not sleep. And you have to ask, well, what happens? Where do we go in our soul things? You know, like I've had so many people in the last couple of weeks message me and they say, you were in my dream last night. You were in my dream. You're in my dream. And I'm like, oh, is that why I'm tired? No, it happens a lot. Like, you know, and I feel like, you know, even when we're daydreaming, you know, and I talk about this and it's very clairvoyant, it's very third eye chakra, what we're talking about right now. The different realities, yeah? And it's like if we're in our sleeping dream or if we're in our waking dream, we have daydreams, it's important to, you know, like catch the daydream because it's just as much important clairvoyant information as when we're sleeping dream. And, you know, I always encourage you to write down your dreams in a special dream book as soon as you wake up and just have it next to your bed and just write down, even if it doesn't make sense. It's so important if it doesn't make sense. If you want to increase your intuition and understand your intuition, write down your dreams for like 1 year to 2 years as your first thing you do when you wake up, even if it's like, I didn't dream last night or I don't remember last night. You know, like if you start doing that, you'll have a thing of things that doesn't make sense, right? But over time, it embeds all your intuition and you start to become clear in your intuition because you've grounded what your clairvoyance is trying to tell you in your sleeping dreams. Very powerful way to increase the intuition. So I guess what I'm sharing that, Lisa, in a long-winded story, is that, you know, like we do help people on, you know, in our dreaming state. And then it's also like understanding that there's so many different realities and realms playing out and you can always pick whichever one you choose to focus on. It's so important to remember that, right? So Lee says, I love how real you are in your live chats. Thank you. Keeping it real at Reality Awareness, always. Always. So yeah, Leah says, I want to be influenced by God and my intuition only. Yes, I don't want to be programmed and manipulated by society, like majority of the world. How do we know that what we're receiving is clear if we're filling our heads with crap? Exactly. Lacey loves that too. Awesome. Real eyes, real eyes, real lies. Oh my God, I love that. That is so awesome. The 3 eyes, realize your 3 real eyes. I always talk about look with your 3 eyes when I'm teaching a yoga class, and I'm like, now look with your 3 eyes, like activating your 3rd eye to look all the time because our clairvoyance is always working too. Our whole intuition is, yeah. It has been wild energies, yes, for sure. We've got a wild year ahead. I do feel that too. I feel like it's going to be very rocky. Yeah, definitely. We dream 90 to 120 minutes a day. Oh my God, that's a long time, right? So it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Russell says, I feel I've been opened up and I'm more aware of my vulnerability. Now I'm much stronger when toxic comments arise. I can choose to confront darkness and let it know I'm not playing with you. Yes. It takes practice for sure. And, you know, and that's what I was talking about before. And that's why society is going to take a little bit to get there, you know, but we will. All right, guys, I can feel my steam running out. I'm going to go and lie down for a minute and just recuperate my energy. Thank you for being here. I will definitely live stream either tomorrow or in the coming days about this feminine betrayal. I will change the title in the live stream because Obviously, this needed its own thing. I did write it in separate things, but I was like, nah, I can put it all in one thing. No, I can't. I'm choosing not to because I think they deserve their own information. All right, Trust Intuition, 22nd of February, like I said, link is in the comments. Send me a message if you've got any questions. You can book in a call with Michael on my team. He's awesome. He can explain everything to you as well. But we do start on the 22nd of February, 22022022. Might be a little bit back to front for you guys because I'm in Australia. So if you're on the other side of the world, just flip the numbers around, but it's still all the twos. All right, thank you so much, guys. I love you, and I shall see you really soon.